legend, the original from the game, Hypnotica.
All right, welcome. It's once again, we're here, another season, another cycle that goes through, and every year it's nice to look out and see that guys are dressing a hell of a lot better than they are 20 years ago. Because a lot of guys 20 years ago, we didn't have shit to go by. So it's really nice to see that everyone's kind of picking up their own style and finding out what works for them. Because when this all first started, like I said, there was a couple of chat rooms and it was just guys wanting to share, and we were pretty much lost for the most part. There wasn't a lot of role models to do this. So I'm going to mention this right up front, because I ran out of the house being a little bit late and I left my wallet. So I'm going to throw out like one super quick thing. Anyone know that I just released a new program called Modern Day Sexual Man? Did you read it? Did you go through it?
Yes.
What do you think?
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, huh? 23 years of lots of sex and lots of techniques and I wanted to make sure it was original stuff too. You don't hear anything in there that's taught anywhere else, do you? Good. And when are you going to use it? Tonight would be good. Anyways. So I'm going to just throw that on the table because anytime I do these kind of seminars up on stage, I really like to fine-tune it to where the audience is at, because I have 23 years experience. I can talk literally about anything, anywhere, and I need to fine-tune because I don't want to get up here and just teach and cookie-cut anything, okay? I want to know, since you're here and you specifically are here to learn something, I'm going to ask questions. And we don't have a lot of time, but I would really like to ask questions because I want to know what you guys want to know. And it doesn't matter if you don't think that it's pertinent or it's too vulgar or anything like this. I've been there, I've done it, I know almost every single loophole that you can get in. I know every single stumbling block, okay, because I've come a long way as well. And I'm now at a new point of evolution and new learning where it's mind-blowing, okay? And it's not about chasing anymore. It's about actually manifesting. And it's so weird to sound like the secret up here, but once you really get it into your being and you have an understanding, and what Bad Boy was talking about is really truly representing and respecting and understanding what your traits are, okay, to be powerful, to be able to move forward, or just to even start on this journey. Because you've started on this journey, okay, you've taken the pill. So it's almost too late to go back because you can't. Okay, so the only way to move forward is to move forward powerfully, strongly, and confidently, and understand that you're going to be the only one on this journey for you. Okay? And it's a lonely journey. And what I mean by that is you're the one who has to look at yourself in the morning. You're the one who has to eat well. You're the one who has to go to the gym. You're the one who has to chew your arm off some days after a drunk binge and you're laying next to some girl that you probably wouldn't go out with. All right? There's lots of different, it's an amazing journey. Okay? And it's one that can scare the shit out of every single one of you. And it did me at certain points where I'm like, I'm just not getting it. Okay? And there's just so many different layers and dimensions. So I really want you to understand that, you know, just being here and learning is an amazing thing. So, since I'd like to open it up to questions, well, raise your hand if you have a question, first of all. And let's just get real specific, because I love audience participation. I love interacting. So why don't we just go with there.
How do you develop a strong, cool, calm, inner game when you're in sets?
When you're in sets?
Anytime, actually, especially when you're in sets. A strong inner calmness inside you.
Okay, sets, like, listen, I didn't read the book The Game.
When you're with
All right? When I'm with women, okay, when I'm with a group of women. All right. So here's the thing, how do you develop, this is what he said, how do you develop a strong, cool disposition when you're in sets of women? Okay, the first way is lots of experience. Okay, so get around groups that are going to have that, whether it's, you know, here's different groups of women. Okay, these are some of the weird ones that I've gone to. Okay, I go to male reviews, okay, male strip clubs. Okay, if you have those come in town, definitely go there. Lots of women. The ratio is like 100 to 1 women. Okay, go to yoga places. I just started a couple weeks ago in a yoga thing. I'm the only guy. You got to get used to women. When I was 17 years old, I was in the show choir. Why? Because and there was 32 female dancers. Okay, then after that, I went to the strip club, and then I became a stripper. So my life has always been surrounded with women, because in order to understand women, you have to watch them interact. You have to watch them how they work with each other. And the more that you understand how their dynamics are, their manipulations are, and their ability to be emotional, then the more you understand when you have to say, hey, shut the fuck up. And I don't mean that like in a misogynistic way, like, yo, chill the fuck out. You have to learn how to harness them and stop their emotional energy. okay? And that's such a strong part when you can tell a woman, stop, chill, stop it, you know? And be okay just to say, look, if you want to deal with this stuff, deal with it. But I'm not going to be here unless you pick up your energy. And this is what we're talking about, is being around women. They look to have someone in their life that's going to stabilize them, that's going to ground them. And when you can get good at that, and women know, A, they can trust you because, A, they can be sexual with you and you're not going to run around telling it the whole world, or B, they just know that they're going to get real life, true advice. One of the reasons why I'm very popular with women all around is because I tell shit straight up the way it is. Girl come up to me and she said, what do you think? I'll say, I think those shoes don't fucking match. Okay, when I was working at the club, girls would always come up to me and say, what about this? And I'd say, well, honestly, you just smoked a cigarette, you smell like a big fucking ashtray, and then you'd be lucky if a guy gets a table dance from you. Okay, and as harsh as it sounds, okay, they're so used to guys placating them and giving them stuff and trying to be nice and holding out and all that thing, that the nice guy has become a commodity, all right? It's the true guy who's going to basically tell what's on your mind and be able to engage wherever it goes from there. Okay? You can just tell a girl, hey, okay, it doesn't matter where you start from. It's a matter of your level of the ability to engage with a woman in conversation. Lots of guys want to know text game. Lots of guys don't want to dress, but they've never studied the art of conversation. And conversation's huge. People don't realize that you can have a conversation with a person for 1 hour and say maybe 10 seconds worth of stuff. Just going, really amazing. Well, how did you get to there? What's passionate about this? You know, what was the most impressive thing you met about your boyfriend? Whatever it is, they're going to give you cues on what's important. So if they're like, oh, well, I just love that he was, you know, fantastic with you. Well, if you found another guy that had that trait and you mixed it over with what's another trait that you would say, boom. Now, if you're looking at like evolution and speed seduction and NLP, you know, well, what's another trait that would be, boom, you know what that means, right? You're setting something up here and then bringing the anchor into yourself. Well, what's another trait that you find that if you just had it would be awesome, okay? And what's another trait you'd have that would be awesome, okay? And you feel good. If you had all those traits together, you'd feel amazing, wouldn't you? Yeah, okay, so cool. So, you know, you see how you engage with a woman? Most guys are like, data. So what do you do? How do you know this? It's asking not just questions, but questions that get them to think, and questions that are important for them. And when they're going off on something, okay, stop them short. If they're going on some tangent about, oh, I can't wait to get these new Gucci shoes or whatever, just say, stop, really? Like, you have more, I swear to God, you need to have more than that, right? Like, calling them out a little bit. But your ability to be able to engage and joust with them for a while is going to be important. And you're not going to get that if you do not approach women and you get good at enjoying the fact that you're going out there and you're getting hammered a little bit in the beginning. It's okay to get hammered. Like, everyone gets hammered in the beginning. You're always going to say stupid things sometimes. Sometimes I still do. Just something slipped out that was just dumb. All right? The faster you get that it doesn't matter, the faster you're going to enjoy it. And the faster you begin to enjoy it, the faster you're going to begin to not give a fuck. And the more you don't give a fuck, as weird as it sounds, the more women are attracted to that. Because they like that attention. They like the validation. They like the attention. And when you raise your level to another level, you say to them, subconsciously or consciously, hey, you know what? Like, you're all pretty and shit, but, you know, inner ways, inner beauty and stuff like that, I'm kind of looking at something different for myself. So it's really important to know what it is you want. And to have a distinction between what different things mean. Like, something I just started saying this year is, there's a difference between beauty and mathematical proportions. Okay, lots of beautiful women, well, what society would call beautiful women, are just great mathematically proportionate. This is what we're attracted to, but it has nothing to do with beauty. So when you can separate that first and say, okay, yeah, she's got good mathematical proportions, but, you know, what is she about? Is she ditzy? Is she goofy? Is she dumb? Or is she a cool person? All right? And a lot of other guys make this mistake as well, is they want to always go in for the kill right then and there. Okay? I dated in the thousands, okay? And I'm not bullshitting. I'm actually trying to cut it back. I understand this concept extremely well, all right? Always keep your options open unless you are in a situation in which you're absolutely 100% just feel like it's the most amazing, magical thing in the world, and then slowly commit. One of the things that'll say, even the girl that I'm with here tonight, okay, it's been, I don't know, 6 months that we've been hanging out, she still hasn't heard me say, hey, I love you. All right? Because I personally made it one of my ideas is If everything goes out well, there's no reason for me to commit to that level. If everything works out and we're doing good, I don't have to say anything because my actions are going to show what my words mean. All right? And be okay with understanding that and being okay with being open with your options. If a girl comes in your life and she's not what you want, but you're just happy getting your dick sucked or whatever, and she's a pain in the ass, okay, you're settling too low. You're settling to what you don't deserve. You deserve more, okay? And when a man knows what he wants, it's really kind of cool because then they look and they know that they have decision-making processes. It's kind of like this. A lot of guys are like, well, they don't know what they want. And how annoying would this be if you were a waiter and you went up to a table and there's a big menu and the person's like, well, what do you want? And they're like, well, I don't want anything with cheese. And you're like, okay, well, what do you want? Oh, I don't want anything hot. Okay, well, what the fuck do you want? Okay, compared to the guy who's like, hey, I want a cheeseburger, medium rare, cooked, this is the way it is. There's more value in that because you understand yourself. Knowing thyself is such a huge thing to get to know yourself and to be absolutely 100% cool with what it is you want, what it is that you want to achieve, and who it is you are, and what you're attracted to. Like me personally, I'm not attracted to loudmouth women. I'm not, okay? Like there's nothing about it that does that. I like soft women. I like feminine women. Okay, women that are just like blah, 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 blah. Just turn off, okay? But how many guys can make that decision in their mind being like, and not fall into the trap of selling yourself short to get thrown under the bus or to be in a situation where you're with a woman and you're putting up with shit. Like your time is valuable. Your time is ultimately valuable, and it will get more valuable, but it's the way, and it's so weird, okay? So you gotta understand this is very counterintuitive to how things are. When you start caring about who you spend your time with and the amount of energy and the people that you go with, okay, at first it goes to a level where nothing happens. All right, but then you keep it up and you start meeting other people, and the next thing you know, there's like a gap or something, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded with women, and you're like, wow, this is great, I figured the key out. And then what happens is things kind of loosen up a little bit, and then they go blank again, all right? And then you're like, okay, well, I thought I had it. And then you might go into a holding spot or a drought, and the next thing you know, boom. So it's never constant, all right? It's never constant. There's times where you think, and it will question any man, like, fuck, man, like, has anyone ever done this when they're hot or things are going their way and everything's great and you think that's the way it is forever, you figured it out? Anyone ever had that? And the next thing you know, like, all of a sudden it's dry. A lot of guys that, you know, as soon as they get a girlfriend, girls start calling them out of the blue. And as soon as they're like, okay, I broke up, then all those girls are gone. You know, there's something else going on in the universe. So I just want you to understand. And the only way you get good at it, coming back to your question, is to be around it as much as possible. And you almost have to look at yourself in a very masculine but protective point of view, all right? The way I think, and I have a different disposition. I come from, you know, bouncing and taking care of women in really strange situations, is, you know, I'm looking out for their best interest, all right? And one of the reasons why I have this long-term game, or whatever you want to call it, is because I have women all over the place that call me in times of need, and call me for advice, call me for all kinds of things, and I've been intimate with most of them, all right? So they know that I'm a safe bet. Now, a lot of the reasons why women have been with me or we're not together is just because of my lifestyle. I set my pace, and I know what I want. And it's okay for a woman to go. It doesn't mean that I'm the asshole or she's the asshole. It just means this is my lifestyle. This is what I want. And when you go through the cycles, you realize instead of fighting it along the way, and trust me, like everyone's like, oh, you've lived the polyamorous lifestyle 7 years and had all kinds of women and crazy. It's hard. But what I've learned along the way is really learning your rules, your boundaries, and what exactly it is you want, because it's going to be so much easier. Now it's just kind of like you're either on this path or you're not. All right, so there's lots of different layers, lots of different transitions. And the main thing about like when you want to just be calm, cool, and collected is don't think that you have to get laid in the moment. All right, look at it long term. You may see you run into a girl and have a great bond, you know, exchange emails, texts, and just be like, all right, cool, maybe we'll see you around. Sometimes not calling them is a good thing. Because when you have 10, 20, 30 women that you're just friends with and stuff like this, I call it like you never know when it's going to blossom. Like you're watering plants, and they're all like this, and then one day you just like, pop, something happens, and boom, you're ready to go. So the more you have as friends, and I really believe that no guy needs to commit to themselves or get into the relation. I don't even have a conversation about relationships if I'm first going out with a woman. Well, what's going on with us? What's up with us? I go, what's going on with us? Well, like, we're cool. We're enjoying each other's company, right? Well, yeah, but does it mean anything? I go, listen, if it's meant to be, if we get along, and I love you doing the 6 months thing, at 6 months, if we get along, and we're not talking about relationships, because I think that's kind of needy, all right? And we're not talking about relationships, but we're truly enjoying our company together, and we're not fighting it, then at that point in time, hey, maybe we can review this whole thing. But right now, let's just have fun and see if we get along on levels. See, America's so fucked up in the movies, you're like, oh, you see the girl, and you feel this way, and then, you know, happiness ever after. It doesn't work that way. The girls that you really want to mix with are girls that have your own values. Okay, now it's weird to say this and shit because I've gone through the whole thing, but listen, like, if you have a girl, like, say you love video gaming, right? You got a girl who loves video gaming too, and loves eating the same things as you, and has the same morals. Your time together is going to be so much better than some girl who's like, well, I just like to look at myself in the mirror, all right? So the main thing I really want you guys to understand is, listen, from this moment on, make a decision for yourself that you're gonna raise your bar. All right, you're gonna raise the bar no matter what that means. All right, you're gonna engage in conversations because that's where you learn the meat. When a woman comes up to you and she says something shitty or she puts you down, okay, that's your ability to respond. If a girl came up to you and said, oh, well, you know, you're kind of old, and it's like, hey, it's not that I'm old, it's just that you're not mature enough to understand what a real man is. All of a sudden, you throw that back at them, and you're like, whoa, you didn't buy into their bullshit. You basically knock their platform off. And women are absolutely attracted to that because if they can have you walk away with your tail between your legs in the first couple minutes, the first interaction, and as soon as you walk away with your tail between your legs, they're thinking, thank God. Like, this guy won't even stick up for himself. He's not even going to make a stand. He's not even going to try to change my mind. Okay? Do you understand how important that is to just get good at not giving a fuck and being okay to, you know, have a little bit of feedback and stuff like this no matter where you are? Super important, all right? And the next thing I want to talk about, actually, let's go to another question because I can roll on.
With your new product that came out, eventually the goal of pickup is to get the women in bed. And how do you come from a place of getting her to be more open sexually, not from a place where you're trying to get laid, but more from a place where she accepts it and you're here for her and to get her to be open to it and be that guy as opposed to some guy who's trying to get laid, but hey,
Okay.
I'm here to pleasure you and make you feel
Yeah,
good.
so you have to educate women. You have to educate women to what kind of guy you are. And not to the kind where you're like, oh, I know massage and I know all this stuff. No, like you're just like, you know, listen to my line. I go, you know, sometimes when women talk, sometimes I'll bust it out. What do? I teach women how to feel good about their bodies. What? Yeah, for example, check this out. You know, close your eyes. And I can go into something like this. Listen, when you're dealing with like polyamorous relationships and stuff like this, if you don't have your theory down, if you don't have your philosophy down about what's important to you, then the girl's gonna look at you like you're bullshit. So when a girl's like, well, why do you a polyamorous relationship? You say you just want to fuck 2 or 3 girls at a time. Okay, some guys would be like, yeah. And you're like, no, it's not what it's about. Check it out. You know, I have a philosophy behind it. You know, think of a plant. A certain plant needs certain vitamins. I know for a fact, who I am, that I need vitamin D and vitamin K, all right? And if I don't get those, then I know that I wilt, all right? And that's just my own personal thing. I'm like a painter. You know, I can't just paint on one canvas. For some reason, I need other canvases. And it's not that I'm broken, it's just, this is the way it is. Some fish in the ocean, you know, are just only go on the surface. They're flying fish, they only go on the surface. It's not that they don't have the depth, but they're just not built for that. Whereas some, like a blue whale, can go down and commit deeply and things like this. You know, I'm looking for a co-pilot, a pilot co-pilot. I'm like walking down the street and I want to check on my right, check on my left, you know, looking out for me, and we're going together as a group, all right? So by having a philosophy down and letting her and educating her on what it means to you as a man, looking for your specific original reality, then it opens her up. So when you learn all this stuff, like in the modern day sexual man, if you learn this, what's the cool thing about it? Okay, when you're talking to a woman and you're like, well, one of my favorite techniques, like check it out, what's your favorite technique? All right, girl, when a guy does what to you? I go, well, check this one out. What I like to do is, like what you heard, put their ass up on a bed, you know, get their head hanging off the end of the bed so that the blood rushes into their head, stack an orgasm with them, tell them to stop, do that 4 and 5 times, and then when they have the orgasm, grab their hand and pull them up, let the blood go out of their head and watch them pass out. You know, and flip around, and then if you're good at like hypnosis and you're good at doing cool ass things, you can say, whisper in their ear when they're flopping around or they're unconscious, like, that's right, it's okay to feel amazingly sexy. It's okay to feel good. It's okay to be beautiful, and just breathe that in, knowing that you're safe in this place, just to relax and be free with who you are. When you do something like that, it really opens them up. And every person's different. Like, it's weird, like on some people, I don't even go down that direction. Other people that maybe I don't even know are like very interested in it. So it all comes back from the conversation. And you have to give yourself credit because listen, most guys don't give a fuck. Most guys are watching right now probably football, okay? They're not educating themselves in the arts of education. Like that stuff in the program. How many new things did you hear about, just off the top of your head?
The hand exercise for the rice and the bands, and then I watched the tutorial videos.
Okay, yeah.
The different positions.
Different ways of holding things, different.
And then you had the legs over
Yeah.
here. Just like different things that's outside of the norm, which is kind of like cool. If she's never been through, she's like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Most women haven't. Most women are with guys that don't know what they're doing. So if you really want to leverage yourself, okay, if you're with a woman and you rock her fucking world, she's going to give you round 2, 3, 4. The deeper that they feel emotionally and the deeper that they get into it, the more they're going to connect with you. And the more they're going to connect with you, the more they're going to want to be with you. All right? I absolutely believe that the more you rock their world in the bedroom, the more they're going to feel things and they're going to attach that to you. So if you really want to increase your odds, get good at blowing their fucking mind in the bedroom, and then that's what you want to go for. But be proud to be okay to study stuff and to slow down. The biggest problem that most guys have is they just don't slow down. If they took what they do and they cut that in half and then they cut that in half, that's about the right speed to do things. Most guys want to be like, oh, I just want to be this, this porn star where they're like, bam, 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 bam. I mean, you could do so many things with them. Like, one of my favorite things to do is just you're in them, like say you're about to have premature ejaculation or whatever, and you're like, fuck, man, I'm feeling this shit, and you're like, what do? Just by posting up like this, like on top of with your dick in them, see, I'm gonna do this. With your dick in them like this, you can just hold it like this and look them in the eye. You just, well, you love that, don't you? And they're like, just hold it there and say, don't move.
It's being a big man.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. All right. So you're just kind of holding it and you're looking at them like this. But what are you doing? You're recalibrating yourself. You're like, okay, I was getting a little overheated there. But you're looking in the eye and say, don't move. And when you hold it like this, they're going to want to move. And they'll be like, they'll try to twitch their torso a little bit because they're trying to feel your dick in them. And you're like, stop moving. All right. And then what you can do is you can just lean in like this. You can just go, just lean in like this, and it creates a different tempo. Okay. Then you can kind of slow out. You can go to the left. You can push in. Turn this way, and slow down your game. Thank you. And slow down your game because, like I said, that is a part of sex. You can enjoy sex just like that. Sex does not have to be Western wham, bam, 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 okay, type of sex. The intimacy that women feel when you're in those kind of situations, doing those things, is amazing. You want to be able to open them up on levels in which they're not even used to. Most guys would never sit there and just go, don't move at all. Just look at me. Go back and I only want you, and I say stuff like this, and I only want you to fuck me in the way in which you can release whatever it is that you want to do to me right now. I want you to fuck me and put it on them, okay, and really open it up. So there's so many levels. And coming back to the question about the sexuality thing is, you have to be okay with it. Like, this is such an important concept. Is sex is natural, sex is normal. You'll hear me say it again. We're made for pleasure, we were made from pleasure. Think about that. At the base concept of who we are. That is it. We were made for pleasure. Why? If you look at the end of our dicks, that's where all the pleasure centers are. And we were made from pleasure. Intimate interaction, where there was pleasure at a peak, and that's how we came into existence. So the basics of who we are, you will resonate out a crazy vibration when you're completely just cool with being sexual. All right? When you're not regretting, and you're not chasing, you're not like, oh, I'm fucking horny, like, oh, okay? Without being creepy, like pure sexuality is just like looking at them and just having an eye contact with them and being okay with that, just smiling like this. There's no place to go. You emanate that out. The faster you get good with understanding that sex is natural, normal, and it's the only reason why we're all here, as a root foundation, the more you're going to put out that energy. And it's something, like I say, along the way, you're not going to get this right away. Okay, it's like a pendulum. You're going to go too far, and then you're going to take it this way back. I mean, even the oceans in the sea, they're not constant. They're in, they're out. There's constant in, constant out. Even when you go through different cycles of life, I realize, okay, if I walk into girls that are like 18 years old, if I'm in a club, okay, it's a whole different ballgame to when I was 18 years old. All right? It's a whole different ballgame. So understand that no matter where you're at, you just keep going for what it is you want to go for, what it is that's important to you, because no matter what, you're going to be that guy. You're the only guy. You're the only original person, the only original you that will ever be on this planet. No one else will ever have, will be, or will be on this planet with the exact same DNA sequence as you. You're only here once. You only have one responsibility, and that is to give your unique, original DNA to this world and to show what you're about. And when you're not talking to them, and when you're afraid to walk up to them, you're being just like everyone else. You're in the clone zone, and there's nothing cool about that. There's nothing that you bring to this planet. There's no originality that you bring. You're just living as a fucking sheep, a clone zone. Do not do that. Be willing to get out there, take the fire, take the heat, and learn it. No matter how slow or bad it sounds at the beginning, you're only going to get better.